Welcome back YouTube, to UK, and it's the VR video response. Been tagged twice. Normally don't get tagged at all. I'm not complaining because it's nice to get tagged. So we got tagged by 8BitBoy UK Oli and by Eddie RollerXcore. And it's basically VR that started, I'm looking over here, I do believe by Generation Pixel, Stu. And the question is, it's kind of evolved or devolved. 5 games you can't put down, but then I think it's 5 games you regularly come back to. So I don't know if that means what you're currently playing now or what you used to play in the past. So I'm really leaning towards 5 games that you would always go back to or you couldn't put down back in the day, kind of thing. And maybe now as well, if that makes sense. And this isn't like your 5 best games. This is just games at that time that you couldn't stop playing. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, it would lean heavily towards arcade gaming. You know, and I could list fucking hundreds of them that couldn't stop playing, other than running out of money. But that wouldn't really make for a great video. I have included one arcade game because I think it is basically the roots of quite a lot of us of a certain age, but I kind of try to mix it up a little bit as well. And it's not to sort of say I'm just being selective and picking this, that, and the other, but these do mean something to me as well in that respect. So, well, apparently the formula is you show one game, you tag someone, show one game. So there's five people you tag. But look, essentially, guys, open tag. You know, fill your boots if you haven't been tagged before. And then consider yourself tagged now. Essentially, it is quite decent. It's quite decent. It's a good watch of what different people, especially different ages, pick as well. So to kick it off, I am going to start with an arcade game. Now, clearly, I can't show you an arcade game. Some of these games here I've got as well are kind of representations as well. But obviously, I haven't got an arcade game. So the one of the games, and it's not the best game in it. Well, some may argue. In the arcades was Wrestlefest. Now, I've got Wrestlefest written down here, but essentially there was like a holy trinity of wrestling games that me and John always used to play in the arcades. Probably before Wrestlefest, these are the two, which was The Finest Hour, or I think also known as Mania, and WWF Superstars. Fuck, we spent so much money on them games. It was ridiculous. But when Wrestlefest hit, man, it was another level. Completely another. You've never seen anything like it. Wrestling was at its fucking peak, man. It was at its ultimate power. And I remember even when we were back home, there was a local chippy that had it. And me and even my brother's mates would go and play it. We'd literally just fill this. No, it wasn't a chippy, it was a newsagent. But like the biggest newsagent. And they had 2 machines, and we would just swamp the shop. So yeah, Wrestlefest. You all know Wrestlefest. I'll try and steal someone's footage and put it up here because obviously, look, I ain't got an arcade machine to do it with. But you all know Wrestlefest anyway. But absolutely huge game back in the day. But like I say, sort of little nod and a wink to The Finest Hour. If anyone remembers playing The Finest Hour, 1, 2, 3. And the music was fucking brilliant as well. And then WWF Superstars, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the $1 Million Man, and then coming in like a la WrestleMania 1, I think, or 2, and the little mini wrestling. Oh, it's brilliant. But like I say, Wrestlefest when it came out was just the nuts, next level. And what better? I mean, I'm ringing in a prayer in here. I know he has watched into the odd occasion. I don't think he tends to watch the pickup videos, but he has watched these kind of videos in the past. And what better way, from an arcade perspective, than the man who still has the ultimate arcade, and that's Joel, the last game. And Joel, if you watch him, man, I don't know if you've still got the games or whatever, but you've still got all their memories, all the C64 memories. So it'd be nice to see a new video. And it's like you don't have to own them, mate. You can just reel them off. It'd be nice to sort of see which games which 5 games would always bite you in the ass in terms of coming back to play them. And again, that goes for everybody who I tag, and those I don't. So yeah, Joel, the last gamer. Big ask from me, but you never know. You don't get a. So moving from the arcades, again, this is going to not in any sort of order. And again, I've got a representation here. This is not the version I played, but it's Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and I played on the PC back in early 2000s. 2001, sort of 2002, 3, that kind of era. Oh man! Weirdly enough, what we used to do, me and my mates, used to put this on because in my flat the PC was in the living room as well. I used to have like a quite big Yamaha 32-inch monitor, borrowed it from work, and like speakers and stuff like that. But we used to put the dance music. You can obviously like play your own music, and we just used to get pissed up. People were driving around, smashing the crap out of it, getting leggers off the old bill. The other lot of us were playing the Dreamcast or the GameCube just before we go out on the session. Everyone knows, everyone, especially my age, that's what we used to do on Friday and Saturday night. But obviously outside of that, on the Monday to a Thursday, myself, I would just be playing Grand Theft Auto, and sometimes you'd just drive around, listen to the music. The radio stations are on their own, and just the music fitted this world. I haven't played any of the later Grand Theft Autos, but this one, it was so much special. I did hear somewhere that they're going back to Vice City, perhaps in the next one. I mean, sorry, the #1 Grand Theft Auto. I don't give two fucks what anyone says. Absolutely encapsulated the 80s. Everything, music, the cars, the whole Scarface type thing. Fucking brilliant, fucking brilliant. Now, who to tag on this one? We're going to go with across the pond to my good mate Tony, back in the day gamer. Tony, give us your top 5, buddy. I know you're probably going to be leaning more towards the mighty NES, but it'd still be really good to see what top 5 you would pick, the ones that you'd go back to. Next up is probably the newest game that I played or found out of all 5 of these, and it was one that I'd seen on the PC Engine Bible, so PC Engine game, and it's one I've been hunting for, but I managed to find a version of this on the Xbox Coin Ops. Now, there are other iterations of this game on other systems, and they all play pretty much the same. The idea is exactly the same, and it's Soccer Band World. So you might know this as Shove It or Boxel on the Game Boy, but essentially it's a puzzle game. It's a puzzle game. You move blocks around to complete the level. They have to go in a certain order to fit the gaps. It sounds so, and it is dead easy, but it is mind fucking numbingly difficult in places, and it's all basically just like say patterns, knowing the patterns, knowing what needs to move where. But it's just one of them games. You just one more go, and yeah. So I managed to finally get it on the PC Engine. I think there have been different iterations of of the same theme. I think Chip's Challenge might be of the same ilk, just with like it's basically Soccer Band with sort of shiny knobs on. But yeah, if you're into your little easy but fiendishly difficult puzzle games, Soccer Band World, give it a look. I say it literally is one more go, because you don't want to feel stupid. I think that's part of the problem. You think there is a solution to this, but I can't see it. So it just makes you have one more go, and I'm sure this was in the arcades as well. But I can't remember. It may have been called Soccer Band in the arcades. But I can't think what it was, but it was definitely an arcade game as well. So if you haven't played it or a version of this, give it a whirl if puzzle games are your thing. I've seen a video from him, not like other than the gameplay video, and his name always fascinates me. And his name's Christian Van Tilburg, the real generic demon. I just like the way he presents himself on camera. Like I say, down to earth, solid guy. So yeah, Christian, I don't know if you watch or not, or I'll try and tag you. I think you can do that at thing now, so maybe you might see it. But I'd love to know your 5 games, because I think Christian's a little bit older as well, so he might be more 8-bit micro leading towards that way. And again, I could have picked a load of specky games as well. But I think it was nice to trying to have a representation of some of the games, and I haven't got any micro stuff. I got rid of all the 8-bit micro stuff. So yeah, the real generic demon, Christian, let's see your top 5, mate. Right. So jumping from the Super Nintendo, the SNES, the Super NES, to probably the machine that started the domination. I got this, didn't get this on launch. I got it a lot later when, and again I think I discussed this before, when the system was able to be chipped. I chipped mine myself, and I managed to work out how to copy the games using stuff from work with Disk Juggler and stuff like that, so people might know what's this one about. And this was the first game I ever managed to copy, and couldn't put it down. To be honest, it's an arcade game. It's hard to stop playing in the arcades other than you run out of money yet again. And it's Ridge Racer. At the time when this hit the PlayStation, it must have sold fucking millions of machines. You know, you sort of think it was arcade perfect. When you look back, it's not. But it's fucking brilliant. Handling, the music, the visuals, again, the speed. What I would say is, like I say, this one I couldn't put down. Once I managed to, I think I rented it from Blockbuster, and I managed to copy it, and then that was it. Couldn't stop playing it. And this led me then, and I've always talked about this game, was Rage Racer, which I did buy, and I sunk so much time into Rage Racer, but obviously Ridge Racer was where it was at to begin with. Fantastic. Still never completed it. Still never managed to beat that last car. You know, I know you've got to look in your wind mirrors, and you've basically just got to stop him getting past you, because you can't beat him for speed. But yeah, a fantastic representation of the arcade machine. It, you know, just changed the face of gaming, really. This one we're going to tag Dal, the retro godfather. I know Dal's in the middle of some upheaval. In terms of, you know, real life, I suppose. So, buddy, don't feel obliged to do it. It'd be nice if you could. Again, don't need to show the games if you can't get to them, but, you know, just some flashy images or whatever. It'd be nice to know which 5 games could Dal, the retro godfather, not put down, or always going back to. And then the last one, this is the number 5. Again, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit here, but they all mean something, and they all reference back. So this is traditionally an arcade game, and I've got the sort of representation of it on another system, but on this system as well, it was played to death. And it's always one that you can just pick up and play. People always go back to it, and we talk about Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, again, so much time, money, and yeah, just sort of even just watching other people play it, trying to pick up any tips and stuff. It was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It changed the face of the game, changed the face of the art. I think it revitalised the arcades. I'm sure I read that somewhere. It really, you know, the arcades were on a bit of a slump, and especially in Japan, it just kicked it into another gear. Started, you know, it didn't start a whole new genre, but it reinvigorated that sort of dying one-on-one beat 'em up genre. But Street Fighter 2 Turbo basically made Street Fighter 2, the original one, a lot more playable. You know, the extra characters, the extra speeds, the different costumes. Just fantastic. Again, fantastic times playing this with friends and stuff. The competitions, even recording them on VHS tape. Remember that group of schoolmates? I even had a mate at school, Avi, and he was that obsessed with Street Fighter 2. He even created on, I think it was A4 or even bigger sheets of paper, his own roster of characters, and he's a really good artist. I still speak to him now, and I always mention about that, and he sort of laughs and giggles. But yeah, that's how much of an influence this game had. Absolutely superb. But again, like I say, arcade-wise, an absolute giant in the arcade. I could have picked loads of arcade games, you know, ones that we always went back to, always had a go, because you couldn't stop them. Mad Dog McCree. Again, you'd stand and watch people play, get the tips, because it was literally, if you knew where to shoot when, you could keep progressing. There's so many games that you have to burn as your outruns. But there's the 5 that I picked. So the last person for this one, I don't know if he's been tagged. He probably has, I would have thought. But Mr. Bad's Gaming. Paul, let's see your top 5, buddy. Again, I think yours will be quite an eclectic mix. But yeah, so guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you even took the time to. Them that have been tagged, be great to see a video response. If you can't do it, never mind. It's always next time. And if you haven't been tagged, consider yourself tagged. Let's see your 5. Take it easy.